Today felt wrong. I woke up to the sound of my upstairs neighbor, coughing like he was trying to turn himself inside out. The kind of cough that makes you grab your phone and check the time just to prove the day hasn't skipped ahead without you. It was 6:42 a.m. I hit snooze on my brain and made coffee in the little rattling machine I keep meaning to decale. My hands smelled like the bleach wipes I used last night on the kitchen counter because I saw a line of ants there and didn't want to deal with them in the morning. The coffee tasted fine. The silence didn't. You know how an apartment building has a rhythm. Doors, showers, the kid in 3B running laps at 7 on the dot, the elevator groaning once, twice, 3 times as people leave for work. None of that happened when it should. It was like someone put a pillow over the building's face. I showered, watched the steam curl up, thought about my bank app with the rent coming due on Friday, and started my day the way I always do. Dirty boots, maintenance polo, key ring that looks like a janitor's dream. I work maintenance for our complex. It's not glamorous, but I never have to commute, and I get a discount on rent. I don't complain. Okay, I complain a little. The elevator door kept sticking this week, and my boss, Dale, kept telling me to use some elbow grease. Like I hadn't already. I texted him that I'd start with the elevator, then check the clogged sink in 2E. He didn't answer right away, which was normal. What wasn't normal was the military van parked across from the complex, idling. Real matte paint, no logos, just 2 guys inside wearing hats and looking at tablets. They'd been there last night too, but I assumed they were lost or doing whatever military guys do before getting breakfast tacos. The van was still there this morning, engine on, windows up. On the walk to the elevator, I saw a smear of dark red on the concrete near the stairwell, like someone had dragged a bloody hand while trying to stand. It wasn't a lot, but it wasn't nothing. I knelt, touched the edge of it with the gloved finger I always keep in my pocket for gross jobs. It was tacky, not dry. I took a breath I didn't need and stood up too fast. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Well, not girlfriend, not girlfriend. We've been circling each other for 6 months, 2 people with bad timing and a lot of saved drafts. She lives 2 buildings over. You up? I had the weirdest dream, she wrote. I told her about the blood. She sent back the little eyes emoji and then, don't touch it, Nate. I told her I was gloved because I'm a professional and put on my best hero face in the selfie camera. She sent a laugh reaction and a heart, which made me feel better than it should have. On the first ride down, the elevator stuck, then shuddered like it couldn't remember how to be an elevator. I popped the panel, did the reset, thought about calling the inspection company, decided to wait, because the last time I called we got hit with a $200 travel fee for someone to show up and nod. The cough upstairs kept going. I sent Dale another text. Nothing. I opened the maintenance app we use. The sink in 2E had been joined by a smell and haul report from 4C and another smell report from 4D with a comment that said, like meat left in a hot car. I told myself it's a garbage chute clog. It's always a garbage chute clog after a holiday. People cook, they toss, they forget. By 8, the building had half woken. I could hear the twins in 5F arguing about a tablet, and Mr. Ramos on 2 spoke Spanish into the phone the way he always does when his son calls from San Antonio. Then, right at 8:15, my phone lost its mind. 4 push alerts at once. One from the city saying there were service interruptions to cellular and landline networks. One from a news app one don't remember subscribing to, with a headline that changed 3 times as I watched it. Flu-like outbreak. No cause for alarm became localized civil unrest. Stay informed. Then is it rabies? Then just an error symbol. Our group chat, the building staff one that Dale uses to yell, filled with half messages that cut off. Anyone else seeing? From Tamika, our leasing agent. Don't open. From Dale. Then nothing. I tried 911 as a gut test. It rang once, then dumped me to a hiss. The radio station I keep on in my pocket. AM Talk, because I like the weather, and traffic guy who sounds like he's chewing gravel, was static chopped with a voice reading a list of streets that meant nothing to me. It would have been easy to make it a TikTok day. Close the app, open another, scroll until my eyes hurt. But the smell complaint was real, and we had kids in this building, and I get paid to solve the things people don't want to think about. I headed to the fourth-floor garbage room. The hallway was warmer than usual, like the AC had given up. I knocked on 4C to say I was looking into it. No answer. I knocked on 4D. I heard something move behind the door, and then a long, slow scrape, like someone dragging their fingernails along the wood. I stood a little to the side of the peephole, because you pick up habits in this job. The scrape stopped. I told myself I had an overactive imagination and opened the garbage room door. It hit me in the face, the meat smell. It crawled into my throat. I pulled my shirt up over my nose and stepped in. A bag had split under the chute. Something like chili, but not chili, had slid out and dried. There were bones in it. I'm not proud of what I thought first. Who dumps bones in a plastic bag? But then the bag moved. Not the whole bag, just one corner. Like a hand inside it was flexing. I told myself it was a rat, grabbed the bag, tied it off tight, and tossed it into the big bin. The bag thumped and then went still. I backed out fast. My heart was racing for no reason I could admit out loud. On my way back to the elevator, I saw movement in the little square window of 4D. At first I thought it was curtains. Then I realized it was an eye, gray and too wide. It was so pressed to the glass the lashes left smears. I lifted a hand without knowing why. The neighbor reflex. The eye didn't follow. It stared past me, down the hall, like it was listening to something I couldn't hear. The door handle twitched. I forced my legs to walk. I said, "Morning," to an empty hallway and didn't wait for an answer. The parking lot was full of the kind of silence that makes you careful. Two crows fought over half a tortilla near the dumpster. The military vent still idled. When I waved, nobody waved back. A kid in a Lionel Messi jersey rode his bike in slow circles by the mailbox like he was trying to spell something. I was halfway to the service shed to grab plywood for the elevator when I heard a hey. I turned, stupidly relieved, even more stupidly smiling, because that's what we do when someone calls out to us. It was Mr. Alvarez from 1A, the retired history teacher with the cool hats who walks every morning at 9. He was standing at the edge of the lot, one hand raised. He looked fine except for how he was holding his head tilted, like he was listening to something on the ground. "You seen the van?" he asked. I said yeah. He nodded and took a step closer. His shoe left a wet print on the asphalt. I looked down. There was red on his cuff, watered down like paint after you rinse a brush. "You okay, Mr. A?" I said. He blinked slow, then smiled too wide. "They say stay away from windows," he said, conversational, like commenting on the weather. "They say that's where they come." I wanted to ask who they was. Instead, I told him I'd check on him in an hour. He laughed like I told him a joke he didn't get and walked away. Head still tilted, shoe making wet flowers where he stepped. By 10, the text dried up. Jenna's 3 dots popped up and vanished, popped up and vanished. I called. Straight to voicemail. I paced my apartment in a stupid loop. Sink, sofa, balcony door, fridge, check the news, open the balcony. Close it again because the air felt wrong, as if outside had drifted closer than it should be. From the balcony, I could see the strip mall across the street. The nail salon was closed with a hand-lettered sign, taped crooked to the glass. The donut shop had a line that wasn't a line, just a bunch of people standing with their hands at their sides, staring. Behind the donut shop, in the alley, something happened that I tried to pretend I hadn't seen. A man fell. Another man knelt beside him. At first I thought CPR. I even put my hand on the rail, like I could help by leaning. The kneeling man didn't pump. He bent. He put his mouth on the fallen man's neck, but not like a kiss. Not like anything we have a word for. When the fallen man moved, the other man didn't stop. He held him flat with one hand and kept his mouth there. I stepped back so fast I clipped my ankle on the sliding door track. The glass rattled. The kneeling man's head snapped up and turned toward the sound. I swear his eyes found me at that distance, like they remembered my name. I slid the door shut. I locked it. I know it won't stop sound. I did it anyway. I didn't tell anyone what I saw. That's the part that sticks with me even now. I should have called it in, shouted it from the balcony, called the donut shop something. But I didn't. I made a choice that felt small then and huge now. I decided to get ready without telling anyone why. Maybe I didn't want to say the word I thought. Maybe I was afraid of sounding like I wanted the world to end, because for a few months it had felt like it might, and some ugly part of me wanted to be right. I don't know. I know I was suddenly certain of two things. Tonight was going to be bad, and anything with a pane of glass in it was not my friend. I pulled the toolbox from under the sink and dumped it on the floor. Screws, driver bits, 2 wrenches, a hammer with a split grip that leaves blackchrome rubber on your hand. I went to the maintenance shed and grabbed the good stuff. 6 pieces of plywood we use for broken windows, 2 boxes of deck screws, a roll of duct tape, a pry bar. Back in my place, I moved the sofa away from the sliding door and propped 1 plywood sheet against it. I brought the mattress out and angled it behind the sofa because bodies stop more than wood does. It looked ridiculous. It looked like I was packing for a hurricane. It felt like a handhold when your foot slips. The tap on my door made my skin try to leave my bones. I froze, and then I told myself to grow up and walk to the peephole. Jenna stood there, hair in a knot, hoodie zipped up, hands jammed in the pockets the way she does when she's trying not to show she's cold. Relief hit me so hard I said her name. I unlocked it, stopped, put my eye back to the peephole. Her face was a shade off. Not sick. More like she'd been crying, and then decided not to. I opened the door a crack and slid the chain. "Hey," I said through the gap. "Are you okay?" She didn't answer right away. She looked past me into the apartment, like she could see the plywood and the mattress. "Do you smell that?" she asked. I did. It was faint, sweet and wrong, drifting from the hall like a potluck where someone brought the worst thing you can bring. "I heard something in 4D, she said. It sounded like someone trying to talk through their hands. And my sister called me, and I couldn't hear her, and then my phone died even though it said 60%. She took a breath that hitched. "Can I come in?" I looked down the hall over her shoulder. I didn't see anyone. I let her in. I put the chain back on like a man in a movie who thinks a chain will stop a plot. She saw the wood and the mattress and gave me a look that said a lot of words at once. I waited for her to call me crazy. She didn't. She went straight to the kitchen and turned on the tap. It ran clear. She filled a pot, dumped it into the bathtub, and started the water there too. "In case," she said. We didn't need to say, in case of what. We both knew. I dragged the kitchen table against the front window and wedged it there, then taped the edges of the glass, like we do for storms, even though I know it doesn't do much. She opened my pantry and stacked the cans we never admit we buy for nights we don't feel like cooking. Beans, soup, chicken. I made a list on the back of a receipt, because lists calm me down. Batteries, radio, first aid, knife, duct tape, towels. She added toilet paper because, of course. We did all of this with the weird calm you get when your body decides to help you instead of shake. Every so often I'd catch her looking at the windows and flinching like they were eyes. I turned the TV on and got a tile of channels, all saying they're not available. Then the city alert tone hit our phones at the same time, the one that's too loud and makes your gut think a bomb is coming. The text was short. It used a voice that got written by a committee. Civil emergency. Localized attacks reported across city limits. Stay away from windows. Do not engage. Shelter in place until further notice. The part that stuck to me was the phrase they used. They didn't say riots or violence or unrest. They said attacks. We looked at each other. I said, "They said it." She said, "They didn't say what?" I said, "They don't have to." I wanted to be brave for her. I wanted to pretend I knew how to do this because I fix things for money. Instead, I told the truth. "I saw something by the donut shop," I said. "I think someone." I couldn't finish. My mouth wouldn't cooperate. She didn't ask. She just walked to the sliding door and put her palm flat on the glass, like she was saying goodbye to it. "We're not looking out there anymore," she said. "Not today." I screwed the plywood into the trim until my wrist burned. We left one little gap, near the top for air, so we wouldn't suffocate. We shut the blinds on the front window and pushed a bookcase against it. We turned off the lamps and pulled the battery lantern from my camping box. It felt like we were building a fort like kids, except forts don't shake when trucks drive by. At noon, The building alarm went off, the one I hate because it always means burnt toast or a vape in the stairwell. It wailed, then died. It tried again, coughed, and gave up. Our phones buzzed again with the same alert as before, but in all caps this time. The military van finally moved. It drove away fast, rolled the stop sign, and headed toward the highway. People watched it go from their balconies with faces that didn't look like neighbors anymore. Jenna reached for my hand. I let her take it. We stood there in the dim light of the battery lantern, two people trying not to look at the places where glass met world. I wish I could tell you I'd been wrong, that it was just a bad day with bad smells and worse timing, that the alert was a glitch. But right then, before anything really started, I knew what we were doing and why. I knew tonight wasn't going to be about the TV or the news or what our friends posted. It was going to be about not looking out and not letting whatever was out there look in. The last sane thought I had before it all tipped was stupidly practical. I should have bought more screws. That's how the first day went, not with explosions or sirens or a camera panning over a ruined city. Just a wrong morning, a van that didn't belong, an old man leaving wet footprints on the pavement, and me, a guy with a busted hammer and too much time to think, deciding to make my apartment smaller and darker because a message on my phone told me to. It said, "Zombie attack tonight. Stay away from windows." It didn't use the word zombie, but that's what I read. And once you read that, you can't read it any other way. We waited. We listened. We did what the message told us. And somewhere down the hall, behind a door I hadn't opened, someone started to tap on the glass. The night started before the sun went down. We had just finished boarding the last window when something heavy hit the hallway wall outside my apartment. Jenna and I froze in place. The sound was low and wet, like a sack of meat sliding off a counter. We didn't breathe until it stopped. Then came footsteps, slow, deliberate, dragging one foot just a little longer than the other. They stopped right outside my door. We stood there, silent, every muscle screaming to move, but locked. Then came the knock. It wasn't polite. 3 hard thuds that made the chain on the door rattle. Jenna squeezed my arm, so tight her nails left marks. Whoever it was didn't say a word. Another 3 knocks. Then nothing. Just breathing. Long, slow breaths through the crack at the bottom of the door. And then the smell, sweet and rotten, the one from 4D but stronger now, like the hall itself had been left to spoil. I did the dumb thing. Leaned close to the peephole. For half a second, I saw an eye, gray and glazed, the same shade I'd seen in the window earlier. It was Mr. Alvarez, but not. His head tilted too far, like his neck was broken but holding on anyway. His jaw moved, but the sound that came out wasn't words. It was a wet, rasping hiss, like air being forced through a throat full of water. My stomach lurched. Jenna covered her mouth to hold in a sob. I reached for the baseball bat I keep by the door, left over from college softball nights, and prayed the chain would hold. Then the alert on my phone screamed again, so loud I thought my ears would pop. The message was shorter this time. Attack confirmed. Remain inside. No windows. Use extreme caution. Mr. Alvarez twitched at the sound and slammed his forehead into the door, once, twice again. The chain jumped and squealed but held. I backed us both toward the kitchen. Jenna whispered, "We have to get out." I whispered back, "Where?" Silence, because we both knew there's nowhere safer than here, not right now. After a long minute, the banging stopped. The smell lingered, but the hallway went dead quiet. We waited another 5 before I moved. My knees shook so bad I almost dropped the bat. Jenna whispered she wanted to go to the bathroom, but didn't want to go alone. I went with her, and we locked the door behind us like kids hiding from thunder. That's when we heard the screaming, high-pitched, tearing, then suddenly cut off. Not from the hall, from outside, past the boarded balcony. Something crashed below, metal twisting. We couldn't see, but our building shuddered as if something huge had hit the dumpsters. Then came more screams, different voices, panicked and overlapping. I thought about the donut shop, about the man on the pavement. I understood too late what I'd seen. Jenna grabbed my phone and tried to call 911 again. Still dead. She tried her sister, straight to voicemail. We sat on the bathroom floor listening, counting each scream until the pattern changed. They weren't screams anymore. They were growls. Wet, guttural, wrong. When it got quiet again, we dared to leave the bathroom. The hallway smelled worse. Something scraped along my door like nails, slow and searching. Then it stopped. We heard a whisper. No, not words. Just that wet breathing again. Then a sound that will never leave me. Claws or nails dragging down wood. Lazy knowing. We huddled in the middle of the apartment, the lantern between us. The power flickered once, twice, then died. We didn't turn the lights back on. Darkness felt safer now. After what felt like hours, but was probably minutes, there was movement at the balcony. A faint shuffle, like feet on concrete. Then a small tap on the plywood, deliberate. My gut turned to ice. Jenna buried her face against my shoulder. Another tap. Then a whisper so quiet it was almost a breath. Nate. I don't know how it knew my name. I grabbed the bat again and didn't breathe. Jenna squeezed my arm hard enough to cut off circulation. Another whisper. Narrate. Slow, stretched, almost playful. The voice wasn't Jenna's. It wasn't anyone's I knew. It was broken and wet, like a throat full of mud. We sat there, still and silent, until whatever was outside got bored or distracted. It moved away. We heard scratching fade down the balcony rail, then a crash somewhere below. Jenna finally said what I didn't want to admit. They're hunting. Not attacking, not rampaging. Hunting. Listening. It's just past midnight now. We've pushed everything we own against the doors. The air smells like death. The city is dark, no sirens, no hum, no planes. I don't know if help is coming. I don't know if help exists anymore. My phone just flashed a new alert. Extreme danger. Stay away from windows. But something already knows we're here. And it knows my name. It's hard to say what time it is now. Jenna's asleep against the wall, clutching the bat. I should wake her. But every time she stirs, the floor creaks. And every creak sounds like an invitation. The sounds outside have changed. Not constant anymore, just little, sharp bursts. A scream somewhere far off. Then silence. Then the scuttle of something moving along the hallway, stopping at doors, testing them one by one. It stopped at ours again an hour ago. 3 soft taps, slower this time, like it was feeling out the pattern of my breath. Then a voice, no, not a voice, something using a voice, said, "Let me in." Almost casual, almost friendly. My chest locked up so hard I thought I'd pass out. I didn't answer. Jenna didn't move. After a long pause, it scraped its nails across the wood once, and then patted away. We haven't dared to speak since. I keep going back to the balcony, not to look, but to listen. The plywood groans every so often, like something leans on it. Once, I heard quiet tapping way up high, like something was crawling along the outer wall, counting windows. Somewhere down the hall, a door slammed and then a human scream. Mr. Ramos maybe. And then silence that stretched too long. A thud followed, then dragging, then nothing. My phone battery is dying. 5% now. The last alert came through 30 minutes ago, or maybe 3 hours. I've lost track. It didn't say anything new. Just the same. Extreme danger, shelter in place, stay away from windows. But that feels like a joke now. It's not the windows. It's everything. Jenna stirred just now, whispered my name. I whispered back, told her to stay quiet. Her face is pale and drawn but steady. She asked, what if they get in? I told her the only thing I could. Then we fight. It was a lie. I'm shaking so bad I can barely hold this phone. But lies help. They build small, temporary walls inside you when real ones won't hold. There's movement again at the balcony. Soft scraping. Then a single word, almost playful. Hungry. Jenna stiffened. My throat closed. We didn't move. We didn't breathe. Then, mercifully, silence. But it's the kind of silence that feels aimed at you. I think the boards will hold for tonight. I hope. But morning isn't coming fast enough, and there's no guarantee morning means safe anymore. If you're seeing this, if somehow my phone uploads before it dies, stay off the windows. Stay inside. Don't answer the voice if it knows your name. Don't believe for a second that what's out there is still people. Something is learning us. And tonight is just the start. If you like this story and you're still breathing easy, you're stronger than most. Subscribe for more late night scares. Hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next, and drop a comment. Would you have opened the door? Stay inside. Stay alive. And whatever you do, don't look out the window.